Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Kourtney Thomas. She's on a mission to help women find their own inner Dolly Parton. Through guided self-discovery work and coaching, she helps women see themselves so they can trust themselves in every choice they make for their bodies, lives, and businesses. Please enjoy Kourtney Thomas. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I am here with Kourtney Thomas, a self-discovery facilitator, a coach, fitness, body image, women. I love all of it. I can't wait to hear more. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay. Well, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Sure, absolutely. I'm Kourtney, and I like to say that I help women find their inner Dolly Parton.
I love
it. Yeah. She, she's one of a kind, and so are we. So, I help women through self-discovery work and coaching really see themselves deeply so that they can learn to trust themselves in all the choices that they make in their bodies, their lives, and their businesses. So, I guess descriptor of the work that I do and that kind of process, that's been an evolution of, about 10 years in business. So, that's kind of fun. It's definitely like a practice what you preach kind of a thing. And
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've been through it. I get it.
Right.
Right now that looks like, the expression of the work is typically in kind of two buckets, one-on-one coaching for sure, which I do on kind of a, 3-month or an ongoing basis with people. A lot of times that is like, just like women who kind of want to figure stuff out. Sometimes they can't even put their finger on exactly what that is. Sometimes it's very career focused, trying to figure that stuff out. Cause like I said, like I've been through different stuff and I have worked in corporate and different jobs and all of the things. So there's that side of things. And then the body image coaching and body confidence and really kind of like body acceptance and, kind of as an annex, figuring out fitness and movement and what feels good for you. That is definitely my wheelhouse in kind of that evolution of, what my background has been in my business. So I have a 4-month program for that is called Fitness Unraveled, actually.
Ooh.
And I run that both one-on-one and then I do a live group twice a year for that, which is just magical because it's all these like incredible, like-minded women who are, supporting each other and having conversation and, we're all there together learning. So, yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. And also sounds like high creativity opportunities in all of it.
Yeah, that's like an ongoing thing for me. I mean, I feel like being an entrepreneur at all is creativity every day, all day.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Even a non-entrepreneur. I mean, yes, I have my entrepreneurial pieces, but also working as a therapist in organization. And anytime you were navigating relationships, there's a lot of creativity that goes into it.
Absolutely. Totally. I agree.
Yeah. Nice. Well, when you think about creativity, what does it mean to you to be creative?
I used to have a real rigid definition of this, like the conventional, like, oh, well, people who are creative are like in the arts, like, they're like an artist and they're good at drawing, like that kind of a thing, or some type of, performance arts too, or whatever. But over the years, I had a mentor when I first got into fitness who like literally like her work is creativity. Like she has her master's in creativity, like, all of this kind of stuff. Like, so it really opened up my perspective so much. And she reminded me that there are a million different expressions of creativity. So kind of once my mindset shifted in that, now I really think of creativity a lot more as like adding imagination and authenticity to like delivering your unique skills and talents out into the world. You know, like, so for me that, you know, that's things, again, more conventional expressions like writing, you know, like I do a lot of writing every single week. That's a practice, right? Like, and certainly creative expression, but like, you know, I am creative in how I market. I am creative in how I have conversations. I'm creative in creating new programs for clients, or, you know, like when I was doing personal training, it was like every single workout that I did with someone had to be creative in some way that was unique and personalized to them. You know, so I kind of think of it as a much like broader thing these days.
I love that. I love expanding the definition of creativity and seeing just how all encompassing it can be, and kind of the difference between performing arts creativity and everyday creativity. So that like big C creativity expression of like performance expression, and little c creativity is the stuff that happens every day that we do on a regular, consistent basis, whether it's just for us or for someone else or in life. So I think that for me, that really captures the difference in creative experience and creative expression.
Yeah.
So nice. Yeah. I know. I can only imagine doing fitness and having to come up with like different, unique, creative ways for people to use their body for their fitness goals. And when you think about it, particularly around fitness, because I've just never talked to someone about creativity and fitness before. How do you feel that they really come together? Like, where do they come together?
Well, you know, again, it's funny because like I never thought about it in the beginning. It seemed like everything was more of like a formula or a system, so there wasn't too much creativity to it. And then honestly, like I said, like this mentor, she was one of my clients in the beginning, so like we got to know each other very, you know, like, and are still friends to this day, like, you know, 13 years later or whatever. But when I thought about it, you know, and now especially as I reflect on it, to answer the question, like it's like taking what, you know, like your knowledge and skills and like evidence-based stuff, right? You know, like this is, you know, the appropriate exercise for this goal or whatever. But then also, like you said, which with each client, like every body is different. Like every body moves differently. Right? Like, and every person has a different experience in their body too. There might be injuries you're working around. There might be different goals. There might be seasons. There might be like just emotional junk that they're going through that you have to be creative on the fly too. So, you know, I think it comes together again in like, marrying skills with like the uniqueness of how that all needs to come together. And then also there's an element of making it fun and making it enjoyable and making it not like the thing that they dread the most. So then too, you're layering on top of it the fact that this is two people having a relationship. So you're being creative with conversation, with, you know, all of this kind of stuff. So, I mean, really, like there are a lot of integrations of different kinds of creativity there too, on something that is like at its most basic level, like you've got, you know, 45 minutes with a person and you know, you're going to be exercising during those 45 minutes, you know, it's like way bigger than that.
Yeah. And it really sounds like there's also just like you are tracking so much as their their support, and that, you know, if there's injuries and body ability and you know, what they're working on. So there's also, I
always found too, like what was fun for me, when I started kind of moving away from, in-person training and into online training too, you got to get real creative, like with what people have available to them.
God, yes.
Right? So, which was like to a certain extent true when I was doing in-home training, because like most people don't have a fully outfitted gym in their house, you know? So like it would be, you know, for certain clients, I would like bring a set of dumbbells or bands, or they might have, you know, like a yoga mat, one kettlebell, and like a exercise ball, you know, and I had to get really creative with that individually for that person. But, you know, same with online, you know, it's like, you know, always asking what people have available. And then again, incorporating like what their personal body story is. And, you know, do they have 20 minutes to do a workout at home because they have 3 kids and they work full time, or, do they like to set aside an hour at 4 a.m. or, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all kinds of ways that you have to like, not in the sense of, the kind of thing that we've all heard of like, muscle confusion or whatever. Not that, like just getting creative with like making it work for people while still meeting their, their expectations and what they're wanting to achieve.
That makes sense. And I love that there's so much creativity that goes into it. I think that's awesome. And I imagine there's also a lot of challenge that can show up. And when you experience challenges, how do you face creative challenges?
Usually like with a lot of frustration and impatience at first. So with that in mind, I am a big like sleep on it person. Like give it a little time, give it a little space, like sometimes it's like get the initial idea out or like get something on the page, if you will, like air quotes with that. But then like a lot of times if I walk away or, just like go do something completely different, shift my mind to a different space and come back, I either realize that like, oh, okay, yeah, like I've got something good here, like I can build on that, or I might come back with a totally different idea. So for me, it's like, give it a pause, sleep on it, and come back to it is the best way to like work through that.
Yeah, that's a great reminder too. Cause I know myself, sometimes I can just be like, no, I have to power through and like get really caught up in the minutia and the little bits and pieces of like, oh, I need to figure this out now. But, and to realize like, no, you can actually take a break. You can go take a nap, walk, do something, and just let your mind think about other things. And I'm always surprised at how when I come back to it, I'm like, oh, I have so many more ideas.
Yeah.
It's kind of like popping that pressure bubble for me. So good reminder. I appreciate that.
I've gotten to the point where I like try to build it in now, where I'm like, okay, I have to send an email on Thursday. So I write it on, if I'm in a really good place, I write it like a week or two ahead of time. That doesn't always happen. But, I at least give it like Monday or Tuesday so that when I'm like, this sucks and it's the worst thing I've ever written, then I can, again, sleep on it, come back to it and either be like, oh, no, you know what? Actually, this is good. This is what I wanted to say. And I tweak a little bit and do an edit and whatever. And then I put it out. Or I'm like, no, that wasn't it. And I can, like you said, then you like pop the pressure bubble and you're like, I still have time. Now I know what I want to say or, whatever.
Right.
But
I'm so glad I'm not alone.
Build in that cushion now.
Yeah. I'm really glad I'm not alone with the like, this is the worst thing I've ever written. Thoughts.
No, you are not.
The reality. It's nice to find that like common humanity with other people. I'm like, all right, this happens to other people. I'm not the only person going through it. So
yeah, totally. You are not alone at all.
Thank you. I feel so seen. It's great. That's awesome. Well, you strike me as someone who has done a lot of creativity, maybe kind of after working with your own coach, but what about early life? What's kind of your earliest memory of being creative?
I love this question because it kind of allowed me to like really think about just what you said. I was like, man, I really have been like a creative person, even if I didn't acknowledge it, formally. So I used to spend a lot of time with my great grandma. She watched me when I was real little, like, like before I was old enough to go to school and then like after school and between when my mom got home from work and stuff like that. And she was a quilter and a sewer and a crafter. So I remember very, very early on doing a lot of crafts and sewing and I used to know how to crochet. Like, I wonder if I could still do it 30 years
I bet
later.
you could.
But stuff like that is what I remember. Like, we made ornaments with like little beads and sequins. And like, I used to like make pillows and it just like all kinds of stuff. So that's like my very earliest memories of stuff. But then I always say, and this is like kind of my like thing that people are so surprised when they like meet me now in like the wellness and body space. I was totally like the anti-exercise movement sports person. I didn't do any of that. Like I Well, and I can kind of caveat that, like, I kind of tried everything just because I grew up in a small town and everybody did, but I sucked at all of it and hated it. And so, like, I did one season of volleyball and one season of softball and one season
Yeah.
of cheerleading and whatever. And then was like, this is terrible and I hate it. So I did all, like, every art that you could do, every, like, yearbook, newspaper, drama, choir, jazz band, like, just like absolutely all of those things.
Mhm.
And it was much later in life that I came into like, oh, exercise can be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, early on it was a little bit more of the like artistic expression.
Artsy crafts. Yeah. How
Yeah.
fun. Quilting. I mean, quilting, I feel like is
Yeah.
a lost art.
Oh, totally.
There's pockets in the country that are very prolific in the quilting experience. But yeah, it does feel like kind of our generation now they're not big quilters.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so true. It's fun because like I have one client and well, talking about pockets of the country, I don't know. She lives in Iowa. I don't know if that's a
Okay.
quilting pocket of the country.
Maybe. I don't know.
She is a very avid quilter.
Oh,
And I love it because like you said, it is like a lost art thing. And she does it regularly, which is
yeah.
like, I don't know, it just like warms my soul, like it's
Yeah.
probably not something that I will get back into because you have to invest a lot of like time and materials and energy and money
Yeah.
and all of that. And, I have other creative expressions now, but I love that connection though, because, I'm sure there would be lots of people out there who would be like, what do you mean you quilt every day?
Right.
Like,
I love also, I mean, I think this is my just like stereotypical knowledge of quilting, that it is kind of a community-based thing. Like people
Yeah, it
come
can be.
together to
Mhm.
work on a quilt together and that they build community that way. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
but cool. Well, I love these early memories of creativity and what they spark for people and how it like makes them think about, wow, what was my earliest experience of creativity, or what
Yeah.
are those things that I haven't thought about that in ages, and now
Exactly.
I think I love when that happens, because I think it kind of then leads to, oh, wow, I was really inspired thinking about that. And how can I incorporate that feeling I had when I was little into
Yep.
things that I do today? So, walking right into my next question around inspiration, what or who inspires you these days?
Well, I am one of those people, which like a lot of people might roll their eyes at, who literally is like, I find inspiration and beauty in everything. Like, because I do. I am just one of those people who's like, I woke up today. That is incredible. So what am I gonna do with that?
Nice.
I always say like I mean, we all kind of like get into our regular routine of life and stuff like that. And,
Mhm.
even like for me, when I first started really getting into fitness, like I was into endurance running for a long time.
Oh my
And
gosh.
part of the reason why I loved it, I think, was not, because I was super competitive. I already mentioned I wasn't, like I
Mhm.
did it because I could kind of do it solo. I could get out. It was like very meditative for me. And part
Yeah.
of that was like, I wasn't out there to just like kick butt or sweat or get a crazy workout or whatever. It was more like I would go out on this like gravel path and listen to the crunch of gravel under my feet and
Mm.
see a deer off in a cornfield, or like see a butterfly and be like, look at the butterfly. Oh, like, so I think that inspiration truly is everywhere, but you have to look for it, So, I mean, that's something that I think, especially in today's world, like you have to make it a conscious practice, but
Yeah.
I have done that. So I am definitely the like creativity is everywhere person.
Mhm.
I mean, I am inspired by, my workouts, whether that's doing it on my own or like I'm a
Mhm.
big Peloton enthusiast. So,
Mm.
I take a class and I'm super inspired, by what the instructor's saying or, whatever, or even my own performance or that kind of a thing. I mean, I live in Colorado, like, hello, Colorado is everything inspirational.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
hiking and camping and getting outside and like
Mhm.
literally sniffing the fresh air. All of that is huge. But I mean, it could be networking meetings or,
Mhm.
TV or music. I'm a big, like, I really believe that, like, I know it's not real, but art imitates life, right? So, like, I
Yeah.
love good, TV shows or movies with really rich character development, books.
Mhm.
I am a hugely avid reader. So,
Mhm.
true, like I can keep going. Um, specifically too for me, which, we were kind of talking about this a little like pre-show.
Yeah.
My A number one who that inspires me is 100% Dolly Parton.
Mm.
I don't think that there is anyone in like the history of humanity who is more creative and inspirational than Dolly in a million different ways. Like,
Yeah.
so she too is someone that I've been like connected to in some form or fashion, going back to literally like watching Hee Haw with my great grandma during the same time.
Oh my
that
gosh.
we were like crafting together.
Yeah.
But and then throughout my life, and then now, especially as an adult and as an entrepreneur, and like working with women, I've done all the research on her background and stuff. Like her life story is incredible. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
she has written thousands and thousands of songs. She's a gazillionaire. She has a freaking theme park. She is such a huge philanthropist. Like she too is a person who sees inspiration in everything and, lives life super authentically. And that's so like, that's always a huge like motivator and touchstone for me.
I love it. Yeah, I agree. Dolly Parton she's a little hero of
she is.
Yeah, champions lots of causes, and I appreciate that. And yeah, nice. But I love the connection to childhood and adulthood. I think it's amazing how those inspirations, like we recognize, we hold on to them, or we continue to be inspired by them throughout our life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like you also have a very rich community, both in person and virtual right now. And when you think about your community, how do they impact or influence your creativity?
I think, there's just something so like, there's something so magical about like just connecting with other human beings and, being around people, and that can be virtually too. Like, I don't think that necessarily shuts it all off. It's not ideal per se, but, I just think there's something so great about like hearing stories, telling stories, and, like every interaction, that's an opportunity to think a little differently, to bring that imagination factor into it, to get new perspectives, and that inspires creativity, So, I think that, for me, what's interesting is like, I have done online work for a really long time. It's been like 7 or 8 years now. So all of this is not new to me. But at the same time, in the last year or so, I consume a lot less, and I do focus a lot more on like, on my local community and on like my actual like one-on-one relationships and like small groups and stuff like that. And, it really, it's interesting. Like if you turn off social media, like you can still be inspired by the community around you and the people, and, like literally like text with back and forth or whatever. So I just moved from St. Louis about 7 months ago or so, and I had a really, really rich community there, which was definitely like really influential in kind of just like, I think there was a lot of back and forth, like synergy and inspiration and like, ooh, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? And like kind of, just idea sharing and stuff like that. And I'm still building that here, but like I am finding that just like the vibe is a good match. So, that is like a new part of the community that does like kind of bump up that, that level for me. And even just having to kind of actively build community in a new way, like that gets you thinking creatively, and I'm meeting all new people. And again, couple that with what we already talked about, like if there are mountains and I can go for walks or hikes with people or, whatever, like it's all melded together.
Nice. I love it. Yeah. Community is so important. And I think in Colorado, we're a little spoiled with what we can do with all of our outdoor activities and communities. And so
I will say that like it has not been a bad place to ride out a pandemic.
Agreed. I agree.
better than alternatives. I am very, very grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear that. 100% agree as well. Yeah. Having that outside space has been a lifesaver for so many reasons. So, yeah. Nice. Well, when I imagine, we all experience everyday challenges and everyday issues, but what are some everyday issues that you've had to use creativity to solve?
I feel like I just have to kind of say, like, literally owning a business is an exercise in creativity every single day. I mean, I think that's something that like people don't necessarily maybe acknowledge like explicitly, and say like, wow, I am constantly, being creative and thinking on my feet and, getting new ideas, discerning them, acting on them, finding new ways, whatever it is like a constant thing. And just because it's in the like business professional bucket, like doesn't mean that we're not creative all the time, especially in like such a super, super fast paced, like changing world. So, I don't know that I could necessarily name like one specific, like everyday issue or challenge or whatever, but I just really feel like it's like a constant kind of ongoing thing, I mean, from like, oh, okay, well, this marketing thing worked really well for me last year, or the last time that I opened registration for this group, or, whatever it is. And then, a year later, you're like, oh, well, the industry has totally changed, or some algorithm somewhere has changed, or, I don't know, my list has changed, or I've moved, or, whatever, or I want to do something different. So how do I do this something different? I mean, there's so many things that I think are, just kind of a constant exercise in, being flexible and creative and adaptable and all of that stuff, which I personally think falls under that like little C creativity
totally
category. And I think that again, like it's like the adult version of using your imagination,
totally. And it sounds like you really thrive in it.
Works for you.
Yeah. And you have an ability to thrive in the everyday creative challenges and issues that come up, and rethink something, or know how to do the research if you need to do the research on how to remarket something or shape it in a way.
Yeah, I think it's actually something that, I mean, it's definitely been a shift for me, like, later in life. I mean, because I definitely was like a fixed mindset type of gal for a long time, which a lot of people are, like we're all kind of like recovering fixed mindset people, kind of shifting into growth. And that's still really hard. Like there is like a really high tide to kind of fight against, like it's either this or that, or it's black and white thinking or whatever. And I think, obviously creativity lives in the gray. So I definitely have learned that, and I am able to practice that. And now, kind of it integrates and kind of connects with like my whole philosophy is that, we're told all day long, like, this is a way that you need to do it. And oh, by the way, like, this is the thing that you need to do. Like, and this is who you need to be. This is how you need to be. This is when, like you need to be X, Y, Z, you need to pick one thing, whatever it is. But like the bottom line is the only right way is the way that works for you, period.
Yeah.
And that involves creativity. Like you're allowed to like have dreams for your life and then figure out how to make them happen,
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's been again an evolution, but like I think it's a much more like, I don't know, it's just a rich way to live life, to, have that perspective than being super regimented about it and being like, well, there's no way to solve this problem. Well, I mean, are you sure?
Have you actually thought about it?
Right.
There might be another way.
Yeah. Play with it.
I love it. And it kind of leads me right into my next question about like, how would you encourage others to find creativity in their lives?
I mean, number one thing, just like be present, just stop, just take a pause, like experience this moment. And, kind of going back to that thing of like, hear and feel the crunch of the gravel underneath your feet, like that kind of a thing. Use your senses, name the things around you, with what you can taste and smell and hear and see, talk to people, but also listen to them. And really kind of going back to, like you said, that last thing, just to piggyback on that, most of all, experiment, play with it. think back to what you did like as a kid, like go through that thing. I love the connection of like, what did you like to do when you were a kid? What's the adult version of that? Or plain like do the thing that was
right. What is the kid version? Let's do it.
You're allowed to do that. Again, like that's that black and white thinking kind of coming in, right? That fixed mindset that like, well, I'm an adult. I can't do that thing. Like, well, that's BS. Like you can do whatever you want, so that can inspire more creativity and flexibility and all that stuff. Like we have a lot of responsibilities and obligations, real or perceived sometimes, so we got to acknowledge that, but, start incorporating the experimentation and the play and like, just maybe even the idea that, like you said, like there could be another way, I think that's definitely a path to not productivity. That's the opposite of what I wanted to say. To creativity. Yeah. Because once you open that up, I think it opens so many doors. Like you're bound to see a lot of the blocks fall away, like personal, professional relationships, like just everything, so I mean, be present and experiment.
I love it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Great reminders, good tools and tips for people listening. And I have one final question for you. What is your secret to creativity?
I don't know that I have a special secret, but I think I would just kind of reiterate what I've already mentioned. I think I've just gotten comfortable with like, well, with who I am and with continually really grounding into that. So when I am like being the person who's like, oh my gosh, did you see that thing or whatever? Or like stop to pet the dogs or, doing it a different way, going against the grain in my industry, whatever it is. When I do those things that I think are, creative for sure. Like a lot of people feel uncomfortable and I've just gotten more comfortable because like I'm like, well, this is a way to it. Like it doesn't have to be rigid. Know yourself, be yourself, and, just kind of keep doing that stuff.
Nice. Embrace yourself. Be it, know it, embrace it. I love it. I think,
it's true though. Kind of going back to the Dolly thing, like for sure she's my role model, but like her specific quote that is for me, just like the guiding light to everything is find out who you are and do it on purpose. And I think like once you can get to that place, which is an ongoing process for sure, but like, if you can, again, like ground into that and yourself, then like all these things that, again, make sense for you and how you want to live your life, what's meaningful for you, what's your expression of creativity, like just how you want to live. Like that's a secret that, like I said, that unlocks the doors,
Yeah. That's the key. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And if people want to learn more about the programs you have or the things that you're doing, how would they go about doing that?
I am real easy to find. It is just KourtneyThomas.com, Kourtney with a K. And that is the best place to reach me. I am very, very accessible on my website. You can sign up for my email list there, which I am very regular with at least once a week. You can schedule a call with me. You can, like you said, find out all about my one-on-one or my group coaching there. Directly email me. I always say like, I don't even have an assistant. If you email me, you will get to me.
Perfect.
I am no longer on social media. I am still on LinkedIn. So, if you're that kind of a person, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I love to kind of play around there, but best place to find me, just, Google Kourtney Thomas or go
Perfect. We'll add it to the show notes so people can easily find your website and find you there. Excellent. And again, thank you so much for chatting about creativity. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so like us on Facebook and Instagram. We are Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and your family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your comments, reviews, and questions. Tune in Tuesdays for a new episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.